This playoff season, there's only one place where we'll bet, Fanatic Sportsbook. Yes, they're our presenting sponsor, but it doesn't make sense to bet anywhere else if you're a sports fan. When you bet, you earn fan cash, win or lose, which means that your bets get you closer to accumulating fan cash for authentic jerseys, hats, memorabilia, and more. Winning hits different with fan cash. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut residents call 800-789-7777. Massachusetts residents call 800-327-5050. New York residents call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland residents visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
For the first time in 2.5 decades, the New York Knicks are going to a conference final. And they do it in dominant fashion as they defeat the Celtics in 6 games. It's their largest playoff win ever.
Welcome to the Knicks Film School Postgame Show presented by Fanatic Sportsbook. "17 years old, man. I was 17 years old last time they did this shit. 17 years old. I didn't even have my driver's license yet. I failed my driver's test twice, much to my chagrin. I had to get picked up and dropped off when I was going to visit my whoever's my friend's house or my girlfriend's house, whatever I was doing at the time, whatever nonsense. And I remember it actually like it was yesterday, the feeling of beating the Miami Heat and going on to face the hated Indiana Pacers, who we had just beaten the year before. Convinced we would beat them again. Wasn't meant to be. I was watching the game at a friend of a friend's house, and they won. Ewing had that famous basket in the last couple minutes to put them up. I ran out into the street like a crazy person. And what was wild about that is even though that was the only thing that I knew was winning, it was still exhilarating because you loved the team and we're brought up through whether it's our dads, someone else in our family, our friends, whatever it is, to love these teams to such an unhealthy degree where I know every Knicks fan I talked to today, from the moment they got up, I mean, they could barely function. Which is all they thought about. I did my best. I watched some episodes of Andor. I listened to some podcasts. I didn't want to think about it. I couldn't think about it. I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't allow myself to be in the moment because of everything that was at stake. 25 years at stake. I didn't have it in me. I needed to get to tip off and just then I would be in it. And, you know, the 90s were such a special time because every year, like they at least they gave themselves a chance at the very least. And I thought that was just what sports fandom was. That worst case scenario, you didn't get out of the second round. And even that was like the end of the world. You know, when you lost to the Pacers on the finger roll in 95, when you ran into the 72-win Bulls in 96, when David Stern screwed you over in 1997. It's like, that was the end of the world. And you didn't realize that there was this other side to the coin where that those games in May, they just weren't guaranteed. Having a competent franchise was not guaranteed. Having a player like a Patrick Ewing, who you could depend on night in and night out, was not guaranteed. Going into a season feeling like we have a shot at anything was not guaranteed. And then we're in this wilderness for so long where you don't know what to root for, where we're for years we had conversations towards the end of the season about our wins hurting us. Should we be rooting for losses? That's where we were as a franchise. And then that's not even the darkest times. The darkest times were where you were sitting there at the end of the seasons with 15, 16, 17 wins, whatever it was, and there was no payoff because they didn't have their draft pick. And there was, if there was a light at the end of the tunnel for you, boy, did you have a great imagination and a great belief in something that there was just no evidence of. And now we're here. And now we're back. And the job is not done. I listened to the Jalen Brunson interview just now, and I apologize. I don't know who was interviewing him on the sidelines, but or on center court, was trying to get something from him, and Brunson just wouldn't give in because Brunson isn't in this for a conference finals appearance, or for that matter, an NBA finals appearance. That's not what any of them are in this for. That's not what Tom Thibodeau's in this for. That's not what Leon Rose is in this for. That's not what any player on this roster is in this for. So I know how this comes off. I know how this comes off as the pathetic Knicks fan who has just dealt with so much losing that even the slightest glimmer of a chance of a hope of maybe a light at the end of this tunnel here is enough to bring a grown man to tears. I get how it looks, but I also have lived it. And we have all lived it. If you're watching this and you've been a fan for 18 months, if you've watching this and you've been a fan for 18 years, if you're watching this and you've been a fan since they traded for, Dave DeBusschere, since they drafted Willis Reed and Clyde Frazier and Bill Bradley and traded for the late, great Dick Barnett, and you witnessed the highest of highs, and you got to experience that utter euphoria, and then have had to now deal with a half a century of just wishing and hoping that they could reclaim that glory, which is not meant to last. That's the thing, is we know as sports fans, even if it seems like it'll last forever, we know it's not meant to last. This stuff is not meant to go on. It is fleeting. And that is what makes it special. And we will have now the next 4 days to talk about the Indiana Pacers and the bear that awaits. And boy, oh boy, is that going to be a bear. But for tonight, every person who roots for this team, regardless of where you root from or who you root for the most or how long you've rooted, none of that matters tonight. What matters is that the Knicks are going to the Eastern Conference Finals. for the first time in 25 years. And there have been so many dark fucking days in that time where you wondered why the hell you did this and invested this ungodly emotional commitment to this fucking team that just didn't repay you ever. And I'm just really thankful that we have this group. And shout out to them, man, because what they did tonight and the level of seriousness that they played with for a team that spent the better part of 82 games being unserious and gave their fans at home in Madison Square Garden that experience. It's incredible stuff. It's incredible stuff. And I didn't expect this. I don't think a lot of Knicks fans out there expected this. Certainly not before this series started, or before the playoffs started, or frankly before the season started. But here we are. Again, job's not done, and they want more, and they're going to go out there and they're going to give it everything they have. And that's, as a sports fan, as a fan of a team that you invest so much in against all logic and good sense, that's all you could want. Are these Knicks a perfect team? God, no, they are. They are the furthest thing from perfect. And that has been established over now, well over 90 games. Sports isn't about perfection. Sports is about finding the will to win when you aren't perfect and when you don't have all the answers. And the Knicks continue to do exactly that in a representation of the city in which they play and the fan base that they play for. Because being a New Yorker and making it in this city in which it is unrelenting is not about perfection. It is about grit and the belief in yourself that nobody else might have, but you have it. And these Knicks all season long have been told who they weren't and what they couldn't do and what they weren't capable of. Jalen Brunson's been told that his whole life. So for them to go out tonight and show the world, hey, we're going to be heard from. We're in this thing. We're going to make a run at this. I'm just really grateful for that and to have been able to watch that tonight and watch this team come together in a way that I did not think we were going to see. Uh 119 to 81. Okay. I believe I have some other people here who want to join me. First up is DJ Zullo. DJ Zullo has been watching this team for as long as I have. And I know he was not happy coming off a game 5. DJ Zullo, I have one question for you.
Yeah.
Are you happy now?
I mean, so happy. And first of all, I commend you for that open, letting us into your soul and bearing that for us all to see, because I think that was a real moment. So just as a fan of what we do here, that was incredible. And yeah, like you, I've been watching this team since the 90s, and it's funny. I thought of this last year, and it feels more real now. Why did these wins in these playoff series mean so much to me? Because watching it in the 90s, it felt like a rite of passage. This team was going to win 50 games, and they were going to get to the second round, sometimes the third round, sometimes the finals. And it was par for the course. So to go from that to what we experienced for 20 years afterwards makes what we're seeing now, I think, that much more special. And listen, was one of those that didn't give this team the proper respect during the regular season, and maybe they didn't earn it. Maybe they did. Maybe I was too hard on them.
You have eyes.
And unfortunately, we watched the games. And maybe if anything, this is going to tell us that the regular season, it's its own thing, and the playoffs are a different animal. And what this team has been able to do in this postseason run is remarkable. I was almost apoplectic after that Game 5 performance, but in the back of my mind, I knew I should give this team the respect that they earned, that they would come out tonight and put forth a great effort. Did I think it would equal a 38-point victory? No, I didn't. Because listen, we're Knicks fans, and even when things are good, they're not that good. And when Knicks have won in the postseason, a lot of the times they are dragging themselves over the finish line in some of these playoff series. So to come out tonight and to beat the Boston Celtics by 38 points and basically make the entire second half a celebration is something I don't think I ever really fathomed. In my wildest imagination of the Knicks beating the Celtics, it was always like a heroic Jalen Brunson fourth quarter in Game 7. It was something extraordinary that they had to do to inch just far enough away from this great Boston team. So to do it in front of those fans that have been there, and listen, we all remember those games in the dark days when this team was losing 50, 60 games, and there would be these fourth quarters where they just would find them. Yeah, right. But they would have these random games where they would be in a game in the fourth quarter, and this crowd, which had seen nothing but abject failure for years, would just be on their feet chanting defense and celebrating and willing that team that deserved none of it to victory. So to do it in this manner in front of those fans is, I think, the perfect culmination of what this team, this front office, this head coach, this superstar leader has been building now for 3 years. And I love that you mentioned the lack of perfection of this team. And they are not perfect, but they do embody a head coach and a superstar player that you can talk about all the other factors that led to this. And it's not just those two figures, but they have set an expectation. They've set a level of competency that has allowed the front office and the rest of the players to help boost them up. But it starts with the head coach laying down the principles and the non-negotiables and the stubbornness, which gets them in trouble a lot. And we have talked about that, and that's real. And I understand that. but he has now coached this team to the Eastern Conference Finals after 2 semifinal appearances in back-to-back years. Jalen Brunson has done everything, if not and more, to bring this team a level of stardom in the backcourt, and they've got this team to the Eastern Conference Finals. And we won't get into all the details, but they will be favored.
No, well, there'll be time for that.
There'll be time for that. We know what the pathway is. This is their moment. And they seized it tonight. For one night, for one series, they seized it. And I sure as hell am not going to put it past them seizing another one and then another one. Because listen, this team, I said it after, what game was it? It was after game 4. I have not used the word great with this basketball team because they haven't earned it. But they are 8-4 in these playoffs. And they are putting together a resume in this postseason, and they have it in them to be great. And that is in the cards. And we'll see what the next series brings. But they are a flawed team that has greatness in them. And it's a wild ride. I don't think I've fully comprehended the position they find themselves in.
I haven't.
But this is one for the ages. The turnaround, beating Boston, basically being up 3-1 with a fully healthy Boston team. So this is not about Jason Tatum at all.
No, that I don't like. Look, we'll never know. We'll never know what would have happened, right? Let's acknowledge that. And Jason Tatum is one of the special players in our league. We can't know if we would be sitting here tonight as we are if Tatum doesn't get hurt. We can't know that.
Yeah.
But they went up 3-1 against the Boston Celtics. No asterisk. They went up 3-1 against the Boston Celtics. And tonight, like the same Celtics team that outscored them by 25 points in the second half 2 nights ago, they ran out of the gym.
Yep.
And I just want to acknowledge you because you bring up home closeouts. Unless I'm mistaken, the last time the Knicks had a closeout win in their own building was in the year 1999, June 11th to be exact, when they beat the Indiana Pacers by a final score of 90-82 in Game 6 at Madison Square Garden to go to the NBA Finals. So this win, is it 25 years in the making? Is it 26 years in the making? It's one of those two. But the point is, it is a long time in the making, Teach. It's a long time in the making.
And that's why it means so much. And, you know, there's something about this group that their imperfection is there's an endearing quality to it.
Yeah.
You know, last year's team was imperfect, but in different ways.
Yes.
It was more of a, the skill, the talent wasn't at the level it needed to be.
And they were perfect. Their imperfections generated a type of perfection in how they dealt with their own imperfections.
Right.
Which was weird, but it worked for them. Yeah.
Yeah. And this team, it's so talented. And there are stretches where you see what the front office envisioned in terms of the talent, the synergy that can happen. Whether or not they've maximized their talent fully is, I think, to be determined. But as I said, when, I can't call them great yet, but they have it in them. And we could be looking at this team in a couple of weeks thinking they've just figured they've molded, they've become a team that makes each other better at the perfect time.
Deej, you can't call them great yet because they haven't earned it yet. They're not a great team yet. They haven't played like a great team yet. And they're going to the Eastern Conference Finals despite that fact. And on that note, I think we have another surprise. Oh, dear.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we take the next 10 seconds and laugh at the entire city of Boston? You losers! Knicks at 6, baby! Hey, John, Macri. How many fouls did Jaylen Brown have tonight?
I think 6.
Jaylen Brown in 6! Derek White in 6. Joe Mazzulla, another rewatch of the town. Hopefully it's number 6. You know what it is? Fellas, let's see if I can line it up perfectly. Touching you.
That's for Jaylen Brown.
Sweet
Caroline.
Knicks going to the conference finals. So good. All right, we're going to be adding to the festivities before we go all the way left with our, okay. We're eventually going to have a serious show. Okay, so I'm going to be adding some people to the stage. Mensa's in the building. Jeff is in the building. Mark is in the building. Yes! We are partying like it's 1999, folks. We done built for this, Mark. We built for this.
We built for this, baby. We built for this right here.
Hell yeah.
Oh.
When y'all ready, just say go.
All right. So where do we want to go first? I want to hear Mensa. Mensa, we heard you on the post game. We heard you on the watch along. Mensa, we'll go to you first, and then we'll let Jeff be the closer.
New York City.
Ha.
If you're near 7-Eleven right now or a bodega, I need you to go into that bodega or that 7-Eleven. I need you to grab the money out of that cash register. It is your money. Hold on.
I think Jeff is firing off sounds, but because the reduced background noise filter is playing, it like muffles it. That's my bad for being too good a producer. Go ahead,
You're
Jeff,
too good of a producer.
Jeff, do it again.
Good.
There it is. Mensa, go ahead.
If you watched Mike D'Antoni bench Nate Robinson just to bring him back a month later and Nate Robinson to drop 40 points, this one is for you. If you watched Danilo Gallinari in April of 2009 and you thought that he was the next Larry Bird, the same way a 14-year-old me did, this one is for you.
Yep.
If you watched the Kyle O'Quinn, Doug McDermott two-man game and think that was real basketball,
shout out to Queens. Kyle O'Quinn. Shout out to Queens.
You.
Bar mitzvah's finest, Kyle O'Quinn.
If you watched the Knicks draft, Kevin Knox, when his teammate was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, this one is for you. If you watched the Knicks pick up Ron Baker, when his teammate the same year was Fred VanVleet, this one is for you. If you had passionate arguments about who was better at basketball between Wilson Chandler and Danilo Gallinari, this one is for you. If you watch Chris Duhon set the Knicks record of 22 assists in a basketball game, this one is for you. If you watched Carmelo Anthony on a cold January night set the Garden record of 62 points against the Charlotte Hornets, this one is for you. Listen, I am a 31-year-old man. Never in my life have I seen happiness like this from the New York Knicks. I was born in 1994. I did not experience the 90s Knicks. I did not. The minute, the second, the Knicks signed Jalen Brunson, I had no idea my life was going to change forever. I had no clue. Jalen Brunson is the epitome of turning goalposts into first down markers. Every single time he gets to the goalpost, they move the chains. Jalen Brunson wasn't good enough to be an all-star. He wasn't good enough to be a top 10 point guard in the league. He wasn't good enough to be all NBA. He wasn't good enough to elevate his team to the conference finals. Failed 2 years in a row. Third time's the charm. Was not good enough. The same way we weren't good enough. The same way good things weren't supposed to happen to us. The same way LeBron James turned us down in 2010. The same way Kevin Durant turned us down in 2019. The same way we had RJ Barrett in a 2-player draft. We had the 3rd pick. And I love RJ Barrett. We were supposed to get Zion. We all wanted Zion. The same way victory has continuously slipped our hands. Today we have it. And I know job not finished. There are 8 more wins to get. This is the first time the New York Knicks have been in the Eastern Conference Finals since 2000. And I would be damned if I did not remind you that Jalen Brunson is in now his 2nd conference finals before Joel Embiid got one. Yes, I am.
Fuck Joel Embiid.
Would you be talking about him? Him?
That's him.
Jalen Brunson, the one twice over. That's why he wears 11. 2 ones on his chest.
Hell yeah, Mensa. Okay. So, Jeff, what do you got? Because I know you've been holding it in. Jeff, what do you got?
Jonathan Macri, I will walk to Brooklyn if you ever apologize for showing emotion for being a Knicks fan again. We prayed for this and it happened. Sometimes you end up Kratos. Sometimes you are Zagreus, Hades' son, who the gods actually want to help. This is where we are right now. Knicks fans, fuck everybody else. Fuck everybody else. Because y'all don't know what it is to be a real fan. You could be a man fan and hop from man to man to fan to fan. Gentrify fan bases. Claim it as your own. Hop into the PTA meetings and try to change zoning laws so that those fan bases can't party the way they did because you can't stand the noise. That's what y'all are about. What we are about is bigger than the New York on your chest. It's about the 5 counties that comprise the 5 boroughs of New York City. There is no other city like New York City. The city so magnanimous, so tremendous that 5 counties had to make one city. Where there's a whole team in Brooklyn that could only hold 1 county. And they tried to literal Russian propaganda. Saying that New York was Manhattan's team.
Jeff, I got a quick question for you.
Manhattan, it's Queens' team. It's
Jeff, I got a quick question for you.
It's the Bronx team. It's even Staten Island's team.
Jeff, can I ask you a question? What happened to the new management that the city was supposedly under?
Ukraine.
Oh, shit.
That's what the fuck happened to the new management.
Jesus Christ.
Shout out to Chelsea Football Club. We know what it feels like when the management has to change because politicians going crazy and your assets all of a sudden get frozen when all you do is construction. Well, you just work in construction. And next thing you know, you got to sell your football club to Todd Bowley because your man's wanted to wild out. How many times we've been in a situation where your man's wilding out and you got to fight today, but you got to beef with him tomorrow. This is what being a New York Knicks fan is about. You hate us because you ain't us. You're upset because we're loud. You have an inferiority complex. This is not coastal bias because the coast is clear. 25 years clear. I almost lived 2 lifetimes before they made it back to the conference finals. This is why they got the police blotters going crazy. This is why outside of Madison Square Garden right now looks like the Riddler is going on a spree. And the only person left is the Batman because Gotham can't contain him. Commissioner Gordon is overloaded. And what do you want him to do? He has to side with a vigilante. It's the only way we're going to get order. It's the only way. To understand this, if the New York Knicks win the NBA championship, it is the series finale of the NBA. It might be the series finale of New York City. Y'all wanted the Garden to move so that y'all could do construction in Penn Station? There may not be a Garden. There may not be a Garden.
7th Ave.
And do you understand why we celebrate the way we do? Is because a Knicks fan understands this one important keynote. 15 teams are going to lose and 1 is going to win. So why not celebrate every victory as it may be your last? Because you know what? That's the way the story ends for every other team. But what if this one time the story did not end that way? What if there's a different author? What if there's a different publisher? What if you got a guy like Jalen Brunson who maniacally waves at the crowd after he fouls out? 5 fouls, 1 quarter. We don't talk about the refs, but fuck it, we're talking about the refs.
And what if
5 fouls in 1 quarter? Poetic justice? Who fouled out Jaylen Brown? Who gave Jaylen Brown his last 2 fouls? I got no slander for Jaylen Brown, by the way. Although he's a pecker pincher, although he grabbed my man's junk as if he was going to tell him to cough to make sure he was over 40 and he had to cough. I understand. Someone who can literally scratch and claw and bust Josh Hart wide open like he's Mick Foley at ECW. I understand. He literally fought and scratched and clawed for this. He violated, like a man is not supposed to be violated, just to win 1 game. He was gassed, and we got him out of there. He went out on his shield. I got no slander for him. I got no slander for Jason Tatum. They're off the list. Boston, you will never be off this fucking list. You'll never be off this list. Boston, the city, the whole culture is built around Yankees suck. That city, the city where me and Mensa got to watch our back sometimes. That city.
Talk about it.
And let this be the last time y'all promote that from the social media group where asses literally sit on it. He needs the clout because all of his stocks are fucking in the tank.
Yeah.
So he needs your retweets and likes and shares to stay up. He needs to feed into racial narratives. That's why he's rooting for the Fever. Because his leprechauns are now an endangered species. Let this be the last time y'all promote that motherfucker. Because he ain't nothing. And he really ain't built like that. Let this be the last time Boston lives in anybody's head from New York rent-free. Because I remember 18-1. I remember 20-1. Andrew, do you know who Bill Buckner is?
I love that guy.
Do you remember Bill Buckner? Mensa, do you know? Damn. Do we got any Giants fans in here? Because I remember Eli Manning. I'm sorry.
I remember Eli. I remember Eli.
You remember Sean Green?
Wait, I remember cartwheels in Foxborough. I remember cartwheels in Foxborough.
You remember Braylon Edwards?
I remember Braylon Edwards. I do. I almost forgot. I apologize. I remember Braylon Edwards. I remember David Tyree. I remember Mario Manningham.
Yes, sir.
I remember 0-2.
Yes, sir.
I remember putting those guys in their place.
Yes, sir.
And the place to talk about is the Eastern Conference Finals because we are back like we never left.
Hey, man.
It only took a couple of decades. But you know what? New Yorkers like to make a fashionable late arrival. And now we are here. And now it's time to finish the story.
I just want to say real quick, one bite, everybody knows the rules. Bite this motherfucker.
Oh, jeez.
go home.
Listen,
I need everybody to grab a drink. Everybody grab a drink. Some of you already have, so we're way past it. Everybody grab a drink.
Can I say one thing before we cheers?
Sure. Absolutely.
And I'm surprised you didn't say this, Mensa. I'm surprised you didn't say this. I know we're going to get into the analysis. Everybody finished in a plus minus. Even
Plus
Tyler
minus.
Kolek, plus
gonna-
6.
Indeed.
Can I show a text?
Is that
from my
Mr.
mom?
Katz?
Oh my God, what language? Good heavens.
Was that me? Was that your
That's from
mom?
my mom. That's
I think
from
it's from
Marcia
Zullo.
Carousel.
No, no,
Shout out
no.
Marcia
Mom,
Carousel.
close your ears, Mom.
Sorry,
We've been waiting
Mrs.
for this.
Macri.
Earmuffs. Earmuffs.
Sorry
Earmuffs.
to Pastor
No,
Howard.
It's okay. She's heard
Sorry
worse.
to
She's
Mrs.
heard worse.
Claudio.
It's okay.
Real
Sorry to
quick.
my mother-in-law if she's watching.
It's okay.
I just want to say one thing.
Yes.
This man caught a lot of hell. A lot of it justified. I had to watch national TV today and watch fellow athletes and athletes that look like this man violate him on national TV, calling him type of shit that they know connotations and they know what it means. I am so happy Karl-Anthony Towns responded the way he did today.
He did.
I want him to bottle that like the limitless pill and continue to do that for the rest of the playoffs because they keep playing on your name and you got to let them know playtime's over, brother.
Jeff, if he does that,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say. I can't say it out loud.
You can't say
but
it. You
if
can't
he
say it.
does that,
But
if he
I
does
understand
that,
context clues.
Mark,
But yeah.
do you have anything to add before we toast? Sir? Do you have anything?
All right. Let me tell you something. For the most of the time, I tell you, it is, I don't want to come up here. And now to put me after
After Jeff and Mensa? Yeah.
that's the most unfair position I've ever been in. I will give a quick, if I can. If you don't
Please,
mind,
of course. I
I'll
asked.
just- all right. It is a personal thing. It's the only way I feel like I can go here. But 3 years ago, right around this time, I had some shit go down where I found out that I had a growth in my brain, and it was a scary time. My wife was 4 months pregnant with my daughter. We found out later it was going to be my daughter. I had a 3-year-old son, and I had KFS. I had KFS to come to and to distract me in the times that I really needed distracting, in a good way, obviously. Even though our team was shit at the time, it was the off season. It was in late June. But ultimately, one quick anecdote. I went to the first time I met the chief neurosurgeon of NYU Langone. Shout out to Dr. Tesler. I don't know if he watches, but if he does, I'm grateful. The first thing he said to me after he took a look at my MRI and CAT scanner and everything was, I had this hat on. He said, "Mark, you're going to be fine. You're going to live a long life. Them, they're not gonna." Now, this was 3 years ago, but that made me so happy and laugh in the moment. And it was so welcomed. I wound up a month later needing to get brain surgery. And that whole month, it was obviously very difficult. I had people like Andrew and John reach out. I had them, I think it was them, reach out to a guy like Chris Herring, who sent me a signed book that had some of the most beautiful writing, dedication to me. Like, I didn't know him, but I was so grateful for that. And this is the reason I brought that up is because I remember being scared, and I remember thinking, we just got Jalen Brunson. I talked to Dr. Tesler about that. He at the time thought he was a little bit overpaid. I said, I think I have a good feeling about him. I liked what he did in Dallas, and I've been wanting him on our team for a while. And I remember thinking, like, obviously I had a lot in terms of my family that I didn't want to leave behind. I didn't want to risk losing that, obviously. But there was also a really strange side of me that thought, man, this would be a shitty time to leave this planet because I have this good feeling about this guy, Jalen Brunson. I have a feeling that this front office is for real. And holy fucking shit, we're sitting here 3 years later. The surgery, Dr. Maddock was my surgeon. Thank you. The surgery was successful. 3 years later, we're sitting here going to the Eastern Conference Finals with that, maybe not the same team, but that same front office that brought that man in, our leader, our captain. And I couldn't be happier. And I'm now a part of KFS, which I couldn't even fathom that. I'm fucking sitting here wearing a shirt I designed, and they let me put it out. We are
now
built
available on the Knicks Film School store.
Yeah, go to the merch store.
You're a vital part of our family here.
Thanks, man. But that's all I wanted to say. I wanted to say thank you. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the moment. And I took it all in tonight. My son, my son stayed up with me. He was here, sitting here just like a few minutes ago. He was dead tired, but he stayed up to watch the whole game, even though it was a blowout. I'm so proud of him, Logan. I love you. And that's it. That's all I got.
Mark, how old is your son?
He's 6 now. He's 6.
Oh, he could go on 7th Ave right now. I'll come pick him up right now. We'll go right out there and we're on party.
Well, we're in Long Island, so it's
sleep tomorrow. He can sleep in the morning. I know he don't got no children on Saturday.
All right, everybody. Okay, so whether you've been a fan for 6 years, whether for 1 year, whether it be for 25 years, whether it be for 70 years, right? They're a 70-year-old basketball team. They've been around that long.
Yeah.
71, I think.
Yep.
This night is for all of us, all Knicks fans, getting to the conference finals. And here's to them doing this more than once, by the way, that this is the first of many celebrations this playoffs. And I just got to reiterate, DJ, what I said after game 1 by asking all 5 of you a question. Hold on, Jeff. I didn't choose.
I got enough more. Don't worry.
Okay. Fellas, do you like apples? The Knicks are going to the Eastern Conference Finals. How do you like them apples? Woo!